Jimmy White, 7.
Looks a little dispirited to me.
I think this is the paradox. You know, when he was at his best 30 years ago, he was maybe accused of being a bit casual about the big occasions.
1.
Now, even in a match, you know, which is a little low-key, a qualifier or here in a group match, he seems to put absolutely everything into it, builds them up. That was certainly the case in the first match, I think. Builds them up so much, and maybe that's just putting him on edge a little bit.
Tell you what, Dave, there was some edgy snooker here yesterday.
6.
Boy, both groups. Whole gamut of emotions were on display.
Well, I was delighted for Holty. Obviously coming in late with Ronnie O'Sullivan withdrawing.
Well, it was a remarkable journey to top the table. He made a 1-3-4 break in his first match, overcoming Scott Donaldson. Then he lost to Rod Lawler, and he genuinely thought he'd blown his chance. He got a face like thunder when I saw him backstage. Came out against Alfie Bird, and early in the first frame, he absolutely walloped a blue off the table that reeked of frustration. But Burden missed the yellow in the opening frame. Holt cleared up. Burden missed the last red down the side rail in the second frame. Holt cleared up, and then Michael dominated the third. And that was good enough.
That was a nice little cluster to go into.
60.
He's always been a player, you know, Judd Trump wants the balls
70.
out in the open early on. He doesn't want to be picking them off. That's always been his style, hence the, you know, the amount of centuries he's made, over 900. Because one thing's for sure, whether he's the second player to get to 1,000 or not, we'll see. But he'll certainly be the youngest. Perhaps for some time.
24.
Just a question then of whether he can now complete victory at this visit. We'll have a long wait then till the last match against you, sir. It'll be roughly, I guess, about 8 o'clock tonight, depending on how the matches are beforehand.
Yesterday, Noppon Sankar won his first 2 matches, looked good in doing so. Not as good as this, but pretty good. And
38.
he had that lengthy wait that Dave has just described. What followed was
39.
high drama. He just needed a draw against Mark Davis to top the group. The last 3 frames of that match were all decided on the black. Davis was 1-0 down, cleared up twice to go 2-1 up.
46.
But in the end, the 4th frame fell to Sankar by the narrowest possible margin.
47.
.46 in front, a couple more red should do it. It's been comprehensive, as the first match was against Rhian Evans. And it's going to be
55.
over to you, sir, tonight to stop this man coming back next week. Pink then for the perfect start. 2-3-0s for Judd Trump. He's a player who certainly enjoys himself away from the table, but he's very dedicated, of course, in the prime of his career, to more success
62.
as this new season gets underway. Referees don't mind his matches, do they? Julian Bell here is
60.
barely broken sweat. It's been very quick.
70.
So he made 95 in the last. He didn't get on the penultimate red to make the century, but this looks a better chance.
$77. $78.
And being a veteran of the Championship League, Trump's well aware that a big century here could be very valuable indeed. Let's just extrapolate. If
85.
Zhu Sir were to beat Rhian Evans 3-0 also, they'd be entirely level.
86.
But if Trump has already set the high break at a very high bar, then a draw, more than likely, against Zhu Sir would be enough.
93. $95.
Yeah, he's not looking at all rusty. He's played well, and for the second match in succession, he's surely going to win the
98.
clinching frame with a century. Good stuff here from Judd
102.
Trump. So reverses the defeat he suffered to Jimmy White here at the Morningside in Leicester at the WST Classic a few months back.
107.
Pretty miserable session for Jimmy White,
113.
losing all 6 frames. It's the opposite for Trump, who has completed his second successive 3-0 victory, 120 clearance to complete it. So Judd Trump, clearly the man to beat in this group. He's got a break, of course, until he comes back later this evening